In 1925, a man walked into a hotel room in Paris and convinced 5 of the wealthiest businessmen in France to buy the Eiffel Tower. Not a replica, not a model, the actual tower. And here's the part that should scare you. Nobody caught him. So he came back a few weeks later and sold it again. To understand how this happened, you have to understand Paris in the 1920s. The city was still healing from war, money was tight, trust in the government was thinner than ever, and into that uncertainty walked a man understood one simple truth. People don't fall for lies because they're stupid. They fall for lies because the lie fits exactly what they already fear. And our man read the newspapers every single day, looking for one thing, a crack, a weakness he could slide into. And one morning he found it. An article complaining about the cost of maintaining the tower. Repairs were expensive. Some officials had even joked, maybe it should just be torn down. So he built a plan so audacious, so confident, that nobody would think to question it. He forged government letterhead. He gave himself a fake title, Deputy Director of the Ministry of Posts and Telegraphs. And then he did something brilliant. He didn't approach one businessman. He invited 5 of the city's top scrap metal dealers to a secret, official-sounding meeting. Why 5? Because that's the genius of it. Government meetings about boring infrastructure decisions happen in secret all the time. Nobody would think twice about a private gathering and discussing, quietly, what to do about an aging, expensive tower. The 5 men arrived, nervous and honored to be included in something so official. Our man stood at the head of the table, introduced himself with total confidence, and delivered the lie with a straight face. The Eiffel Tower was falling into disrepair. It was too costly to maintain, and the government had quietly decided it needed to be sold for scrap. He explained it would be sold as scrap metal, over 7,000 tons of iron. And then he swore them all to secrecy, warning that if the public found out, there could be outrage. Which, and this is the clever part, gave every man in that room a perfect excuse to stay quiet, even after the deal was done. And one man in particular was desperate to win the deal. Desperate enough that he didn't just offer money for the scrap metal. He offered a bribe, on top of it, just to make sure he'd be chosen. Our man accepted the bribe without hesitation. Because at that point, why not? He was already selling a tower he didn't own. He took the businessman's payment for the tower. He took his bribe. He signed fake documents with a fake title. And within hours he had vanished, with what today would be worth well over $1 million, leaving no trace behind. He caught a train to Vienna that same night, sitting quietly, waiting to see if anyone would come looking. Days passed, then weeks, and nothing happened. No police, no headlines, no scandal at all, because he'd been right about everything. The businessman who'd paid the bribe was too embarrassed to admit publicly that he'd been fooled, and worse, that he'd tried to cheat the deal himself. So he simply never told anyone. And here's where most con men would have disappeared forever, happy with what they'd gotten away with. But our man wasn't most con men. He realized something remarkable. If it worked once, with the exact same lie, it could work again. So he went back to Paris. He gathered 5 brand new targets. Same fake title, same forged letters, same exact story, word for word. Because he understood something most criminals never learn. The story doesn't need to be original. It just needs to be believed. And it worked again. He sold the Eiffel Tower a second time to a different group of businessmen using the exact same performance. But this time, he'd underestimated one thing, and it very nearly ended everything. This buyer wasn't embarrassed. He wasn't ashamed. He went straight to the police, and for the first time, the story became public. Suddenly, all of Paris knew that someone had sold their most famous monument, twice, to total strangers. But by the time police started investigating, our man was already gone. Vanished into another country, another identity, another con already forming in his mind. He was never caught for this one, not this time. Eventually, years later, his luck did run out, but not for this. For an entirely different scheme, in an entirely different country. The Eiffel Tower con remains one of the only crimes in his life he was never punished for. So here's what stays with me about this story. It's not that he sold a monument he didn't own. It's that an entire room of intelligent, successful men looked at an impossible lie and chose to believe it, because believing it made them feel like insiders. Which raises a question worth sitting with. How many insider opportunities have you trusted in your life, simply because you didn't want to be the one who asked too many questions?